Look at this place. Not hard to imagine what it was like. Brazilian spices, Indian curries, the best of Africa and Asia, Arab traders, a dizzying Afro-Portuguese, Latin American, Pan-Arab, Asian mix. And along much of the coast of Mozambique, through good times and bad, what they always had was an abundance of incredible seafood. Zira is known as the best cook on the island. Every morning, she heads down to the beach to see what's come in.
The cooking is really a mix because you have spices traditionally going back to other Portuguese colonies, to Southeast Asia, Latin America, all the Arab influence as well. This is a very different cuisine than you'd find elsewhere in Africa.
A pretty extravagant spread by most standards, and for people living in the interior, completely out of reach.
Is there as much fish as you need? Is there enough fish for everybody?
If you go then along the coast, there is still enough fish for everybody. A problem is the transport then, you know.
Because it's hot?
Yeah,
and
because
you
it's
need
hot.
refrigerated trucks.
You need refrigerated trucks. That's pushing up the price, and then the people in the interior already cannot pay for it anymore.
Right.
Zira is cooking for me and a few of her friends, as well as Carlos and Uver, who came here 10 years ago on vacation and never left.
I was looking actually for some people going with me through Namibia, but there was nobody who wants to go to Namibia, only people that wanted to go to Mozambique, so let's go to Mozambique.
The meal plays out like an overview of Mozambique's culinary history.
That sauce, I'm telling you, it's some good.
Crab curry, maybe the country's most famous fusion dish. Fresh local crabs stewed with chili, lemon, garlic, cardamom, coriander. Flavors that came here via the spice route from India and became essential components of local cuisine.
Wow. It's good, huh? Coconut milk in there?
That is never missing.
Never missing, it's in
almost everything.
In addition to the abundant use of coconut milk, it's the beloved local hot pepper, piri piri, that makes these dishes uniquely Mozambican.
Calamari, squid.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Calamari, or lulas, battered and fried. No doubt that this, like tempura, was a Portuguese innovation.
What kind of fish is this?
This is xereva and
Peixe vermelho, yeah.
The fish is cleaned and scored, rubbed with salt, pepper, lemon juice, and garlic butter, then grilled over charcoal.
Liminho de peixe, né? E mandioca.
Fish stew with manioc.
Yeah.
Sardine?
Okay, sardines, yeah.
And to top it off,
Wow, look at that.
wow.
I think we need another table.
Mozambique's famous giant crayfish, basted and grilled.
My God, that thing's enormous. Is this normal?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of these.
Yeah, a lot of these.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, attack.
This fish is awesome.
Really good.
Yeah.
Spend enough time on the island and the rest of Africa can feel like a different continent. Ilha de Mozambique. A ruin, really. A shell of its former glory. A crumbling monument to a colony built on the backs of the occupied and enslaved. Once storybook mansions, promenades, decaying, beautiful, but sad.
What will this island look like in 20 years? It's a spectacularly beautiful island. There are very few places in the world that look like this.
If they open up this really for tourism, that can boom very much.
So if people could get here cheaper, if there were enough hotel rooms, that would change things.
It would change it very much, maybe too much. We have 18,000 people living on the island and 18,000 quite poor people.
Right.
So if you bring in a lot of tourists,
They will employ a few.
but quite a bit will not get nothing and will get a bit desperate.
Right.
If tourists come, where will all the people living on the island, most in dire and decidedly untouristy conditions, where will they go? They'll have to be relocated, of course, seen as inconvenient to the common good. These 18,000, where do they live? What do they eat? You don't have to look far to find the answer.
This is Stone Town? No, this is...
No. This is Maputo town.
Right, but this is where they took all the stones,
Exactly, yeah.
which is why it's lower down.
Yeah, to build the stone town.
Makuri or Reed Town, the other side of the tracks.
I'm the child,
So what do we got here?
so Anifa will give us some fish water.
A popular dish in Portugal, Brazil, and also in Mozambique.
You go first.
Very good.
Yeah? So this is one of the lady who does food for the people working around here at the market and stuff. And she just...
Beautiful.
Oh, there's a look.
Good, man. I like rice and beans, any way you call it. So which came first, this or Brazilian feijoada? What do you think?
Honestly, I have no idea. It might have come from Africa
First, then
to Brazil, because a lot of culture from Brazil
It's African.
is African.
Right.
Look at this place. Not hard to imagine what it was like. Wealthy Portuguese traders, merchants promenading the Strand, attending band recitals in the square. All the privileges of an empire which once extended to Brazil and the China Straits, India, and Macau. And the food here, as I'm coming to learn, is just as fascinating as the history. Case in point, matapa.
Simple greens and nuts, and it's sort of like the national dish here. Coconut rice? That's the matapa?
Working man's food. Local variations are endless. I've heard the best around is at O Paladar.
This is the longest running restaurant in the whole island.
Prepared a day in advance, it's thick and creamy with a sweet and smoky, slightly nutty taste.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty awesome. It looks like chicken, but it tastes delicious.
Pretty simple stuff. A combination of coconut milk, vegetables, and cashews. The base, often cassava leaves, is here made from siri-siri, a type of seagrass abundant along the shore. It's boiled for hours, multiple times to remove the saltiness. Coconut milk, garlic, and onions are added, and the whole thing is left to simmer for about 5 hours.
See, this is what pisses me off, okay? It has been suggested that because you're not rich, it is therefore necessary that you subsist on a diet of like McDonald's and, deep-fried butter. Mozambique is one of the poorest countries in the world. People around here take what little they got, which ain't a hell of a lot, and they figure out something good to do with it. Totally for eating yourself to death. But shouldn't it be good food? It's good.
But this place isn't just good food and pretty buildings.
Carlos, what is this place?
This place is called the slave garden. This was used to trade the slave.
What built this island, it must be remembered, were slaves, gold, and ivory.
Most of the beautiful buildings here, all of this was built with blood.
Yes.
Warehouses like this one were the last time nearly 1 million Mozambicans would see their homeland.
That is the end. When you get there, bye-bye, and then you get to the ship, and then gone. Never, ever see anybody here or be in this place anymore.
Through the slavery years, as many as 1 million people were essentially kidnapped and sold. That's a lot of people.
Right.
It has been estimated that for every 1 human being sold into slavery, that another 4 died in raids on their villages or during the long marches to the coast.